The United Nations states on its website that now, when schools are closed and people are limiting time spent out of their homes, the power of books can be leveraged to combat isolation, to reinforce ties between people, and to expand our horizons while stimulating our minds and creativity. So we know that books allow us to open ourselves to others despite distance and help our imagination to travel distances even beyond our dreams. From our first encounter with books and the feeling of awe that they elicited as we beheld their fascinating, colorful illustrations, books do a lot of wonder in man's quest to conquer space and time. And that's why we celebrate books annually. And today's today's edition of the program dedicated to commemorating the World Book and Copyright Day 2021. So what we need to do is to talk about books. But not just about books, we also need to pay attention, sufficient attention to those who make books happen. The publishers, the authors, the booksellers, the promoters, and the libraries, and then the readers. Okay, so let's gather around these people today and deal with this pertinent question. What do you know about books and the World Book Day? Or how do you celebrate books in a nation that is fast losing touch with books and the reading culture is in coma? That's the business of the day on the program Talking Points on Splash FM here in the city of Ibadan today. By the way, you can catch a glimpse of the goings on in the studio. Just go to Facebook and then locate Splash FM 105.5 Ibadan and the sight and sound all there in beautiful colors if you like. Okay, so let's talk books now. In the studio with me is, as I said, a critical stakeholder in the book and publishing industry in this country. He's a lot of things to a lot of people, and for me particularly, someone whom I admire a lot, someone who has whether you like it or not, is someone who has his finger almost in every office in this country. I'm talking about Dr. Olatunbosun. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Booksellers Limited. Welcome to Talking Points today, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great privilege to have you in the studio.
It's a joy to be here, Michael.
How is it going for you, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about books, and basically let's do the two. Is between commemoration, books and copyright. I know that you're very much versed in these two areas, but let's start with what is the significance of World Book and Copyright Day?
Well, the World Book and Copyright ceremonies, they're to celebrate books, reading, publishing, and intellectual protection. The ceremonies, they acknowledge the pivotal role books have played in human civilization. They recognize the role the books continue to play in the transmission of knowledge, ideas, and imaginations. They recognize the development, that the growth of a nation is dependent on his intellect, the collective intellect of the people. And they recognize the role the books have played in transmitting this intellect. They want to emphasize reading. They want to acknowledge publishing. Today is set aside. Today is set aside for this ceremony, and it draws very heavily from the past. You made mention of the United UNESCO. Well, in truth, it wasn't even UNESCO that started it. It goes back to medieval times in Spain. They had they celebrated St. George. And when they celebrated, St. George was a great soldier coming back from the Crusades. And the area of Spain, Barcelona, it was then, had they had a problem with a dragon. And the dragon insisted that the people should provide sheep, two sheep.
Okay.
And when they ran out of sheep, the dragon said they should provide the children until St. George came back and slaughtered this dragon. And where the dragon now, where the blood was spilled, roses grew from there.
Okay.
And with that, they started the celebration of giving roses on April 23rd.
Okay.
And later turned into give a rose for a book bought. And then they discovered, a bookseller discovered that April 23rd was the day William Shakespeare died. April 23rd was the day Miguel Cervantes died. And so UNESCO just as well said, well,
latched on to it.
Just as well take this day and make it specific and let the whole world celebrate this unique product and let the whole world celebrate reading, authorship, and intellectual protection. And that's why it's getting prominence. So now it is a rose. So the saying now is that a rose for love, a book forever.
Wow. Books never fade and they never wither.
Well, they endure for so long,
Wow.
even after the authors are gone.
That's profound, very profound. When you were talking earlier, sir, you talked about the growth of a nation being dependent on the collective intellect of the people. And so when you mention some of these countries that you mentioned Spain, and by mentioning Shakespeare, you're basically also talking about the British, the British world, and then the Western world collectively. They've been able to maximize the intellect of their people, or maybe I should say that they've been able to use intellectual people as base, for really building their nation. In this generation, a lot of people talk about the knowledge economy, that the new oil is the brains of the people of any nation, that, make things happen. Man has been able to conquer space and time because of people who were thinkers. So it transmits to me that a nation that wants to move forward must take books particularly and literacy very seriously. Look at this country. What's your own perception of this country in relation to this conversation that we put on the table?
Well, Michael, intellect is huge. And in all spheres, it is intellect that drive it. And what distinguishes man from the other animals is just that power of the intellect, the ability to make language, the ability to make tools, and the ability and the drive for development, progress. And so in all spheres, just look at it. Okay, that's all that has to be emphasized. Intellect. In 2018, you granted an interview. This is the Sun newspaper. It's the title is Olatunbosun, Nigeria is an illiterate country. I'd like to ask you why or how you arrived at that conclusion, really, and just a bit of that into that interview. I want to read a part of it that I thought we should bring this conversation from, where you were talking about you were saying that every society is driven by its creative talents, and those talents are their assets, and that those talents are indeed assets for those countries. When you consider, based on
that conversation that we brought to the table really. I just wanted to just expand it a little. I am still in the dark as to why literacy, attraction to books has not really been the major focus of this country. It's something that I thought we should really expand. Why what would be your own diagnosis of this country, particularly Nigeria now?
That's a big question. But for me, the bottom line, the quality of our education is really a reflection of the quality of our politicians. And I don't think I need to add more to that. Except if you push it. When the Chief Awolowo was premier, they emphasized education. Not only emphasized it, they worked towards it. And I will just give you a few examples. It will interest you to know the first TV station that was established, the WNTV, it was established primarily for educational purposes. They emphasized that they would like to wipe out ignorance. And so it wasn't just the schools that were being developed. They were developing adult literacy. The Ministry of Education had what was called a literature bureau. They produced our learning for all the schools in the region, and we looked forward to it. I don't now remember the frequency, whether it was every Monday or every other Monday. Okay, and our learning, that means comic. And our learning not only educated us, it entertained us. We looked forward to it. So they embraced education. And that's the difference. I couldn't say that for what is going on today. I know that, yes, there are schools, okay, but I'm not sure that they're deep in education.
Oof, profound. We will revisit this matter, and then after this break, we'll talk about the publishing industry. We'll talk about the book selling industry, and then we'll try to wrap the conversation up. In the middle of it, I'll also squeeze in a conversation I had with Senator Shehu Sani a few years back. We met at the National Convention of the Association of Nigerian Authors, and I was able to get a few minutes with him. And for him, his concentration was the intellectual base of those who make laws and policies for this country. When we come back from this break, it's still Talking Points on Splash FM. Please don't go away.
Expressions without words won't have it any other way. Moments will feel joy. Been lost in the moment, the freedom. You will find that's what's celebrated. Bring your moments alive, find the satisfaction in the nourishing trend is sparkling. Let's celebrate the they can be. In the nourishing trend is sparkling.
Enjoy in red grape, white grape, peach variants. Then let a sparkling fruit drink. Celebrate every moment. Another premium product from Intercontinental Distillers Limited.
Take a break from studying and let's catch you up on all the world of teenagers. The good.
Would you like to tell us your score?
285.
Oh, nice.
I would like to become a robotics engineer in the future. I was inspired by Elon Musk.
Orúkọ mi ni arábìnrin Ọláyẹmí. Mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ láti máa gbé àṣà àti ṣe wa lárugẹ.
The band.
When you use cream, your hands will be black, your face will be light.
A friend of mine posted something on Instagram and I was like, gosh, what's this? Why not me?
And sometimes the ugly.
I take very sharp alcohol. I take emzoline. I take codeine.
He came to our convention around 10. He said touching me and I was young, so I really didn't do anything.
And the best part, we won't judge you. So, let's get talking about matters that affect teenagers only on Stay It Out Loud. Now Fridays by 3:30 p.m.
Papa Maka, if I say something they worry this on the generator. Not be yesterday on the service, See, I don't tire. And na 10,000 naira give am. Small time now. Me think go pafuke again. If to say you increase that 10,000 naira for your FCMB account for 30 days, you for don't qualify to join the 10 people who go win 1 million naira each inside the FCMB Millionaire promo. Well, the promo now from April to September 2021. So opportunity still day. Other plenty cash prizes here like 25,000 naira, 50,000 naira, 100,000 naira. The FCMB Millionaire promo now for all the new customers. So make you go save sharp because anything is possible. FCMB, my bank and I.
Ìyá bọ̀lì àǹtí, ìyá bọ̀lì ètò, ìyá bọ̀lì tèmi nìkan ṣoṣo. Pásá mi pa. Wetin you want? Abeg, when you go market, I really need more Maggi chicken. Maggi chicken gangan ni o. What tún ni Maggi chicken gangan? Na the real Maggi chicken. Maggi ẹlẹ́dìyẹ. If you no sabi the difference, make I tell you. The nice Maggi chicken flavour seasoning on top the pan. Maggi chicken flavour, e dey give ogbonge taste, colour and aroma wey go totori you. O ṣá mọ̀ pẹ̀lú ìbọn. O ṣé ìyá rí sí ọ̀fly. Yes, babe. Asking for seasoning. Ask for the new Maggi chicken flavour. Maggi chicken flavour. Honey, baby, pẹ̀lú Maggi. Ẹ̀sìn jẹ.
Ìbàdàn 9 mobile 4G LTE ti balẹ̀ gùdẹ̀. Àfihàn eré ìdárayá bí wọ́n ṣe ń gbà wọn ní yàjó àyàtọ̀. Ìpè lórí fídíò àwọn ọmọ rẹ̀ kẹsẹ̀ fún iṣẹ́ yóò máa lọ ní rọrùn. Kò sí yọnu.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o, Ìbàdàn ẹ jẹ gbádùn ìmọ̀ ẹ̀rọ ayélujára pẹ̀lú ojúlówó 4G LTE lórí àtẹ dátà 9 mobile gba gígábáìtì méjì pẹ̀lú wíwà lórí social media lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ fún ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ́gbẹ̀ta náírà. Gígábáìtì méje pẹ̀lú wíwà lórí social media lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ ẹgbẹ̀rún kan lé lẹ́ẹ̀ẹ́dẹ́gbẹ̀ta náírà àti gígábáìtì mẹ́ta àtààbọ̀ dátà lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lálẹ́ ní àwọn àṣàyàn olóṣooṣù fún dátà ẹlẹ́gbẹ̀rún kan náírà àti jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Tẹ *200*3*1# láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìlànà àtàdéhùn wàṣà o 9 mobile.
My people, better don't land. Make una come see ogbonge cable wey dem manufacture for we obodo Nigeria. Na Pure-Chem cable. Pure-Chem cables na correct electrical cable wey dey reliable, dependable, and the people wey dem make am come dey safety conscious. Pure-Chem cables get original copper and aluminium cable for different sizes dem wey you fit use for electrical wiring level for anywhere, whether na your house abi na your office. The price nko e no dey tear pocket at all. Nationwide distribution don start. For more information, call 0808 030 3257 0808 030 3257. Pure-Chem Cable and Wire Limited. They have print compact 4 tickets 122/132 Oshodi Apapa Expressway, Iyano Solo Bus Stop, Lagos. Pure-Chem Cables, Nigerian Electrical Contractors endorser, SON approver. Pure-Chem Cables, na Yubico.
Life is a mystery which can only be unraveled by the Word of God. And that's why you need to join Pastor Prince Will Afolabi of God's Power Evangelical Mission every Wednesday at 7:45 p.m. on Splash FM 105.5 as we unravel the mystery of life for great impact and success. Join us then. God bless you.
Welcome to the new world of cool. Imagine saying that you be this. You don't ready to finish your challenge for rap like tomorrow no go come. Finish. Point.
we can get Caleb. But not shaking. So you inside like Gamma with Sabi with Mentos Fresh Action Candy. We don't get vitamin C inside. Just summer one. Make you feel don't get taking pull of freshness. We full like water inside that. So your mouth go clear.
Fresh Action Mentos Candy.
Mentos Fresh Action Candy. Get cool. Feel fresh.
àti dé òpin ìdíje àṣẹ yìí ọlọ́wọ́ ṣíbí tó gbajúmọ̀ kárí ayé ni yóò jẹ́rìí sí oúnjẹ tó dára jùlọ.
ó ti fún ṣé jíjẹ wa yìí tàbí ìrẹ́pọ̀ gbẹgbẹ orókè.
àmì ni ó gbogbo àwọn ọlọ́wọ́ ṣíbí wọ̀nyí ló gbégbá orókè.
ibikíbi tó lè wà tàbí irúfẹ́ ìtọ́wò rẹ o lè ṣe oúnjẹ alárinrin ní gbogbo ìgbà pẹ̀lú ọ̀ngà ohun ìsebẹ̀ aládùn ti nàìjà tá a ṣe báyìí pẹ̀lú sóyà tiwantiwa fún èrè aṣaralóore rẹpẹtẹ.
Onga, Mama's helping hand.
Olúwa yóò ṣòro tó fẹ́ o àṣẹ ń bẹ lẹ́nu wòlíì rẹ̀ Prọfẹ̀sà Òjó ọmọ lójú Jésù.
Ìsọjí orí afẹ́fẹ́ ti dé. Gbogbo wa ká máa kíra wa kú oríire. Bí Olúwa ti ń bẹ tí ẹ̀mí rẹ̀ wá. Ọgbọ̀n ìṣẹ́jú ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni wòlíì Ọlọ́run Prọfẹ̀sà Òjó ọmọ lójú Jésù bàbá Fẹ́gẹ́dógó. Tó fi máa wàásù gbàdúrà fún gbogbo ènìyàn láti tún lè jáde. Fún wọ̀wọ̀nú ògo titun pẹ̀lú ìfàmì òróró yàn tún wòlíì Ọlọ́run aláyé. Prọfẹ̀sà Òjó ọmọ lójú Jésù bàbá Fẹ́gẹ́dógó. Lórí ìkànnì yìí Splash 105.5 FM. Láàrin aago mẹ́wàá alẹ́ sí aago mẹ́wàá àbọ̀ alẹ́ lójoojúmọ́. Gbogbo ìgbòkègbodò rẹ látàárọ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ yọrí sí rere. Èṣù ò gbọ́dọ̀ gba eré ọwọ́ rẹ dànù. Ó ṣe pàtàkì kó wà nínú ẹ̀mí. Láago mẹ́wàá alẹ́ pẹ̀lú wòlíì Ọlọ́run tí náà ẹ̀mí mímọ́ jó bulabula nínú ẹ̀. Prọfẹ̀sà Òjó ọmọ lójú Jésù. Ó di dandan kó o ní testimony. Tó o bá ti ń gbọ́ gbà bẹ́ẹ̀. Jésù lolúwa.
Mo ní adùn ẹ̀ lékè nǹkan ní ó rẹwà. Tó mọ nǹkan tó ṣẹlẹ̀. Má bá mi jiyàn sẹ́. Kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀? Wo ara tuntun tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ dá sí ara omi mu làkàṣẹ́rà. Báyọ̀ sọ wípé ó rẹwà gan. Èmi sọ wípé ẹwà ẹ̀ kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀. Àti pé adùn ẹ̀ sì tún lékè ká. Ọ̀rọ̀ táwọn fàmọ́ra lọ́wọ́ nìyẹn o. Ó yá mo wá kí n wò ó. Àdúró náà kí ló dá o jẹ fẹ́ mú tán.
Àtọ̀tún ápùlù tí ò lábùlà àmì ìdánimọ̀ tuntun méjèèjì ló ń lu papọ̀ làkàṣẹ́rà ti wá kọjá bẹ́ẹ̀. ohun mímu inú làkàṣẹ́rà ìgbádùn tí ò lábùlà adùn rẹ̀ yàtọ̀ gedegbe àwọ̀ rẹ̀ sì tún fani mọ́ra jẹ̀gbádùn aláìláfiwé nínú ohun mímu làkàṣẹ́rà ó yàtọ̀ mò ń gbádùn ẹ̀ gan-an ni o.
Splash FM 105.5.
Books provide knowledge, data, and facts you use to support your positions on social, economic, and political issues. If you don't read, you're lost. You simply loses that mental component to support your issues you're trying to raise. A declining book culture does a lot of educational damage to our country. And that is why an assembly like this helps in And I can say this in the very sense that we have a politics that is is that of serving ourselves and our immediate family constituency and our political structures, but not in any way in the pursuit of a common principle that is of good to the masses of our people. You can hardly see a politician today, from the beginning of his speech to the end of his speech, you can hardly keep anything on marble which he has said. This clearly defines the hollowness, the emptiness, and the aridity of the kind of people who are in a position of power today. I am deeply concerned that this drought is not simply from the young ones, but also from those that are in position of power. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right then.
Yes. All right, it's still talking points on Splash FM here in the city of Ibadan. You just listened to a brief conversation, just a cut from the conversation I had with Senator Shehu Sani there, talking about the hollowness of conversation at the political space. Well, you see, we are still having conversations around the World Book and Copyright Day commemoration for 2021. In the studio with me here is Dr. Olatunbosun. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Booksellers Limited. Just deviation from that conversation. Let's come to your sector. I know that publishers are very important in, making books happen, bringing books to the table of the average person. I know that if publishers publish, and we need people to get the books to the public. I'm talking about the booksellers who, have the books in their shelves and attract people to come just take a look at the books and also buy them for themselves and their family. I know that without writers or authors, even the two will have it, difficult a bit to get, creatives to put their minds on paper and then get them out to us. I know that it's a chain. You have down there the readers, many of us who appreciate books and make efforts to get them. But let's start with the publishing industry. Tell us the challenges that this industry faces in a country like Nigeria, for instance.
Well, for Nigeria, we must, and for any other country, publishing is a business, but then it has a product that is very unique. It has a cultural product, a product that is of very, very special value. But then because it's a business, it is not exempted from all the infrastructural difficulties that we have in the country. And so the publisher will struggle with electricity. The publisher will struggle when finding the best of crew. To